In July 1518, something horrific hit the streets of Strasbourg. A bizarre horror that was said to infect hundreds. A plague, but not one in the traditional sense. The people of Strasbourg were gripped by the horror of dancing. The story goes that Frau Trophia, a perfectly ordinary woman, just started dancing one day and would not stop dancing for days and days and days and days until she was forcibly restrained. Now that's spooky in itself, but the real strange thing is that she was not alone. Possibly hundreds of people stopped whatever they were doing to join in this macabre dance. Dancing day and night, day and night, day and night. According to one historian, John Waller, the dancing did not always stop with the participant being forcibly restrained. Sometimes the dancing ended with the participant's death from exhaustion due to the dancing. Personally, as someone who finds it difficult to go for a jog without instantly collapsing, I find the very idea of being unable to stop your body from dancing for days absolutely terrifying. I mean, imagine doing that much exercise. Oh my god, I'm never doing that again. Anyway, so you may have noticed I use words like supposedly and apparently to describe the events of the dancing plague of 1518. And that's because the details of normal life for everyday people in the 16th century and before and even after is incredibly vague, and we just generally don't know all that much. We do know that the dancing plague definitely did happen. It wasn't an apocryphal story. Quick side note, an apocryphal story is a statement or story that is widely circulated and believed to be true, however is of doubtful authenticity. This causes quite a lot of problems in historical research. There are enough testimonies from people who would have written stuff down and distributed this knowledge. The clergy, doctors, and even the local magistrate. However, these sources only really mention that the dancing plague happened and it was a spooky event. Other than that, these sources wildly contradict each other and don't actually offer us that much information. We know at minimum that the number of people gripped by this dancing fever was 40. But at maximum, this number could be as high as 400. That's an insane gap in between. And even more frustrating and annoying is that we don't even know what the fatalities were of this dancing plague. It was either not fatal at all with 0% casualties, or 100%. All 40 to 400 people died. Strangely enough, we're actually more certain of the potential causes of this strange event than the actual events that took place. This is due to modern science, where we have a greater understanding of the body, mind, and mass hysteria in general. And with this knowledge, we can try and look back and figure out why something happened. Unfortunately, without new primary sources, we won't be able to do this for the actual events that happened. With the aforementioned science, we've managed to narrow down the main culprits to two main causes. The first being mouldy bread. Specifically, bread that has had the ergot fungi growing on it. This fungi being one of the main components of LSD, meaning that all of these people dancing were basically just super high. This ergot fungi theory is actually a fairly common one throughout historical research, with this particular fungi being blamed for a lot of events of mass hysteria throughout history, with the most famous example possibly being the 1692 Salem witch trials. The other less fun explanation is that this uncontrollable dancing was actually caused by a total lapse in control of one's body and mind, known as achoria. Achoria is a set of involuntary movements, sometimes caused by extreme stress. Stress is something that people living in this time period would be extremely used to, due to the near constant state of war, pandemics, starvation, heavy taxes, and just generally miserable living conditions. Life was tough at this time. Whatever the cause, this was certainly a very interesting case of mass hysteria, either caused by mouldy crops or by just the general stress of living in this time period. Very interesting case, and frustrating that we don't know more details about the daily lives of the people affected. But alas, we don't have enough primary sources. Anyway, I've been... Oh no. Oh no. Help!